What's up, YouTube? So, you may not know this about me, but I am building something new. And I wanted to spend some time in this channel just talking about what we're building, what we're thinking about. If you're new here, glad you've landed. We cover all kinds of topics on this channel, but I want to talk a little bit more about innovation. I want to talk a little bit more about building towards success and how you can take some of what I'm going to talk about and make sure that the outputs and the results of what you're looking to go and build and do can be successful, that you're not wasting your resources. All right, so let's jump right in. Have you ever wondered about productivity and how we measure productivity? See, we often talk about this all the time, don't we? I think about this significantly as a startup because as a startup with Empath, we have very limited resources. It may look to you and to others like we're spending our time doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that and some of this and some of that. And I'll be honest, some of that does happen. But largely speaking, the actions that we take, the time that we invest, the hours that are burned need to be extremely productive. Every hour wasted for a startup is significantly more costly than a super large organization that can suffer inefficiencies and incorrectly used resources all the time, right? We know this. For you as an MSP, very similar. You operate much more like a startup in the sense that your team is much smaller. So when you have the delta of one employee misusing an entire day or half a day, that's far more costly than one employee at a 500 or 10,000 employee org that misses and incorrectly uses that time. And also, as a startup, one of the big fears that every one of us has is not that we're building something, but we're building something that nobody wants. That's the big risk. See, startups can produce, startups can create. Young and small companies can do awesome things really easily, for sure. But one of the big fears that we should legitimately have is, am I building the wrong thing? Is the output of what I create absolutely not what the market wants? So let's reverse this as we're thinking about productivity. And let's ask ourselves this question instead. Is my productivity being used in the correct way? And does that map back to value and ultimately output in the creation of something that matters, not to me, but to my buying populace, to my potential customer base? That is the question. Is am I producing something as a startup that actually matters and that's something that they want to buy? So as we reverse the tape and look at it from that question going backwards, one of the worst questions you can do is go to your teams and say, hey, were you productive today? Why is that? Well, let's take a developer, for example. Hey, dev, were you productive today? They're going to go back and they're going to say, well, yeah, actually, I was. I didn't get interrupted at all. I was able to keep my email closed. I had no meetings and I wrote a bunch of code. So, yeah, I was productive today. Or they might say, no, I was not productive today because you saddled me with 3 meetings. I had a couple KPIs that I had to go track down for something coming up next week. I had 3 people bug me on something and I just was not productive. That's how they're going to look at it. Sub that out for literally any other role in the org. Well, I will submit to you this. Productivity is not measured in that way. Productivity should not be measured in the sense of, yeah, I didn't get bugged and I wrote a lot of code. It should be actually measured in a different way. The way I think it should be measured is how are we making progress in the face of uncertainty? See, as smaller companies, especially as a startup, we are looking into the future of extreme uncertainty. Will people buy what we want? Are we spending the right time creating something that matters? So when we're looking at progress, it should not be, oh, my hours were devoted well towards building code. It should instead be, oh, it enabled productivity is assessed, measured by our ability to help us operate correctly in the midst of unknown circumstances and an unknown future. Now that sounds murky. That sounds cloudy. Let me unpack what I mean by that. As an entrepreneur, or maybe as a small business or MSP owner, what you need when you're facing uncertainty in the future and you're trying to innovate, you're trying to make sure that you're spending your time wisely is not by the hours you spend uninterrupted, not by all the code you wrote without being distracted. It's rather this, you having the ability to make testable predictions. To say, well, I wonder about this. Now can I go test this wonderful theory? It should enable us to have the results of being able to know, do I build or buy or partner? It should let us have the results of how do I scale this thing up? It should let us have the results of will this marketing plan actually work? See, progress should be measured in that way. Progress should be measured in the way that lets me know as an entrepreneur, can I make testable decisions that will result in material output in small ways? I'm never going to know tomorrow if everything I'm doing at Empath is going to be a smashing success. What I can do is say, well, here's the small problem in front of me right now. Can I make some predictions on it? And then do I have some ways to test those predictions to see if they come out right or not? Here's a good analogy to this: a sailboat in the wind, right? So I want to go from here to way over there, but the wind is going this direction right now. But in 10 minutes, the wind might shift a little bit. What do I do as a sailboat captain? Now, keep in mind, I'm not a navigator. I'm not a captain. I have no idea how it works. But what I've been told is we have to tack with the wind. We have to go with what we've been given. And it's not going to be a straight line to go from here to there straight. I might go a little this way, a little bit of this way, a little bit of this way, a lot more this way, a little bit of this way until I get to point B, until I get to my final destination. This is what I'm talking about. So progress should be measured in those small iterations that let us see, let us isolate, let us test, and let us see the outcome. And then we do it again, and we do it again, and we do it again, and we do it again. That's how progress should be made. And I wanted to expound on that a little bit in this video because I think it's a really great concept that I have really been leaning into significantly, same with my co-founders, same with the rest of our company. And I wanted to see if that makes sense for you as well. And one of those reasons why it's so valuable is because now we can take each of those iterations, each of those small pieces in this journey, going from A long-term to B, and we can slice these up. We can call them learning milestones, or we can call them small little objectives on the way. And instead of going all our focus going from A to B, now we have a focus on this to this, one little iteration to the next. And did it work? We can actually hold our teams accountable to that. What are you working on right now? What's your big problem in front of you right now? How are you going to isolate that problem? How are you going to test that problem? How are you going to see how you get out of it? It comes from so many different ways. You're going to learn how to test. You're going to learn how to consume output by talking to customers and potential customers. You're going to learn this from talking and isolating inside of your own teams, by testing some kind of small theory, by developing a little tweak to see how it behaves and how it works. You don't have to worry about getting all the way to B. That's months, years down the road. I'm just working on this little iteration right here in front of me. And now I have a way to do that. My teams have a way to do that. Now I have little learning milestones. I'm trying to learn something new out of something small. I can hold my teams accountable to them, and I can completely revolutionize the way we innovate, grow, build towards success. And we can avoid the ultimate outcome of working in a vacuum, going all the way to point B, finishing something awesome that nobody wants. So give me some thoughts down below. Am I off my rocker? Is this the way to build? Does it work for you? Have you tried it? Am I absolutely crazy? Probably. Let me know. All right, my friends, thank you so very much.